Welcome back to the series. This is where we learn about multi-React agent orchestration or workflow using LangGraph, LangChain, and LangSmith. All right, so this is part number 3. If you have been following this series, you already know in part 1 and 2, we created these two React agents, weather agent and financial agent, with two simple tools, just so that we can test our orchestration against our prompt node using these conditional edges. This time, we're bringing in a brand new React agent called email agent. And this is going to be a real one because for the first time, our agent will be connecting us to the rest of the world by sending an email. This is how the workflow should go. When the user comes in and says, send an email to Michael, tell him such and such, a message, right? That prompt will be intercepted by this conditional route and redirected to our email agent. And this email agent, who will have his own LLM, templating, and tools, are going to go ahead and process that email and send it using these tools. First, from that prompt, he's going to go ahead and isolate the name and use this tool, read email from CSV tool. We're going to give him a CSV file, a simple CSV like this, that will have two simple columns, names and emails. So let's say if I'm sending the email to Moose, I say send email to Moose telling him such and such. So from that message, our email agent will go ahead and parse through this CSV file and collect this email address for that recipient. And then this guy will have its own prompt template where we're going to go ahead and explain and instruct all the details of sending an email and formatting the email. And even we mention where the message should go. So at this point, our email agent has an email address, a name, and a template for creating that email. So once he prepares that email, finally, he's going to go ahead and look into this tool, send email tool, to go ahead and send that to the recipient. Now, this send email tool consists of a service called resend. This guy. This is an excellent service called resend, email for developers, right? And they're right about it because if you look at the pricing, look at their free tier here. 3,000 emails a month for free, 1 domain, and 100 emails a day. That's all I needed to know. So using this service, I created this send email tool for our email agent. And through the rest of the video, we're going to show how it was done, and we're going to test it and make sure that our recipient receives the proper email. And we will test the whole thing using one chatbot where we will be able to test our prompt node, weather agent, financial agent, and email agent all orchestrated together. That said, let's go hit the code. All right, so we're back at the code, and this is the basic installations that we've been following throughout the series. Everything just as usual. Only one new thing's coming in here is this resend library, and this is the one we use to implement the resend email service. That's all there is to it. Other than that, here is the LangChain version 0.3.18 and LangGraph 0.2.70. And now here are all the API keys, just as usual stuff. These are the models, and this block is to connect to LangSmith, and this one new line here, which is bringing in the resend API key. That said, let's look at our structure. All right, so as usual, according to our last two videos, we're going to have our weather agent, financial agent, and this video we're going to bring in modular email agent. Then we're going to plot that agent to our main graph. And this time we're not going to just compile and run immediately. We're going to go ahead and add conversational memory to our graph and then compile the graph. And finally, we're going to have a chat with our graph, combining all the agents, and test the results. That said, let's get started. All right, so quickly we're going to look at these two. We're not going to go into too much of a detail this time because we've already dedicated 2 videos to it. But only thing we need to look at here is this specific part, like what exactly the answer is going to be. If the weather of Paris is asked, we're going to just give always sunny in Paris, or any other city is going to say, oh, it's cold and wet. I'm just, showing you this so that during test time, we know what to expect. And the modular financial agent, we're going to also look at this block right here, because our financial agent will answer based on this tool. And when we send a company named Google in there, it's going to say, or some version of this, Google is not doing very well, and because Google just lost a lawsuit to the government recently, which is a fact. But this answer we should be expecting when we send Google. Otherwise, any other company is going to say financially sound and getting better, right? That said, now let's look at our main guy here, the modular email agent. We're bringing in Chat OpenAI tool from tool decorator from LangChain core tools, and ReAct agent function from LangGraph pbuild, and the resend module so that we can use it in our email, and also the CSV module so that we can help our other tool read a CSV file, right? So right here we have our email agent, which will receive the content as a string, which is basically the message the user will provide. And we have the LLM using GPT-4o, temperature 0.5. And now we have our first tool defined right here. It is pretty much just simply it's going to open a CSV file called email_contact.csv, and then it's going to go in and look for the name provided. Once it collects the name, it's going to return the email address associated with that name. Otherwise, it's going to just say no email found for such and such, right? And let's look at where the file is, and let's look at the structure of that file right here. Very simple, 2 columns, names here and email addresses. That said, let's go back, and we also handle some reading exceptions right here. Now this will be our main email tool. Here initially we're putting our resend API key, and then the parameters, the from, to, subject, HTML, etc., and then resend.email.send, and these are the functions given to us by the recent module that we just installed. Also, we have an exception handling right here. Now the most interesting part, this is our custom prompt. Here we are giving all the necessary instructions, like you are an email assistant, your task is to help send emails using provided tools. I had to add this additional line, like once you send email, please make sure you let the user know that an email has been sent to such and such name provided, right? Ever since I added this, now I get a nice little reply back, but before that he did not. So I just want to show you where prompt engineering is so important, right? And then comes the corresponding emails format, the HTML block. We have like the body and the where to leave the message. I just put it right here, message from the user, and block quote, and then sincerely, blah 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 blah, all the extra stuff. Once everything is said and done, then we create the email agent here using create ReAct agent, and pass LLM, the tools, and the state modifier, which is the custom system prompt, this guy right here. And now our email agent is ready to go. Now here I commented out this portion right here. This is what I use to unit test it, like just to make sure that this specific module or agent works by itself. Before I put it in the graph, this is how I used it. This is how I tested that module, and all the details are here. I'm not going to go through that. We're going to test this time all the way down where we use everything in the chatbot. Now let's go to the main graph, and this is exactly as it was before. All the necessary imports are right here. Our state annotated with list and add messages, graph builder, and then we have our LLM And this is where our prompt nexus or our chatbot node, right, who simply answers all the rest of the question that does not belong to agents, right? And this is where we add our weather agent. This is where we add our financial agent. We went over this before. This is the conditional edge or the routing function. And here, finally, we add our email agent exactly as above, because our agent returns a ReAct agent here, say, called email underscore agent. So we just add that node as email agent to our graph builder. And this is going to be our routing function, which simply looks for email or sent, these two words in the messages. Based on that, it's going to go ahead and return email agent or redirect the messages to our email agent node. Otherwise, it's going to just hit end node. And as usual, here we add this conditional edge with our prompt nexus like before. And here we add the normal edge, the email agent, to the end node. And finally, we just set up an entry point for our prompt nexus as usual. And this time though, we're not going to go ahead and compile the graph right here because we have other plans. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now let's go add some memory to our graph. All right, so this time we're bringing in memory saver from LangGraph, and then invoke that function to create our memory object. And in turn, we're going to go ahead and send that memory object as checkpointer when we compile our graph using graphbuilder.compile to create our final graph with chat memory. So let's run this and see. All right, so this is our final graph, the prompt nexus connected to 3 ReAct agents, weather agent, financial agent, and email agent, working side by side. Now to test it all, let's chat with our graph. All right, so this is our usual chatbot using a while true infinite loop. We're collecting the user input from the command prompt. And this is our exit logic. By typing quit, exit by, or Q, we break out of this infinite loop, thus ending the chat session. And this time around, we're going to need a config object with configurable thread ID 1. It could be any combination of numbers as long as this is unique. And this one, we're going to go ahead and send it as an argument to our graph.invoke function, where we send our message, the user input, including this configuration object, so that our memory saver can keep track of our session using this thread ID and thus manage our chat memory. With that done, we just simply print out the AI message or the last message saying assistant and response message -1.content, and we have a dashed line underneath every message to separate them. And with that, let's run this. So we're going to start with this message. Hi, I'm Moose from Atlanta. So we get a nice answer from our prompt nexus. Now we're going to go straight to the email testing. So let's see. This is our contact CSV. This is what it looks like. And we're going to be sending message to this guy right here, Moose. And this will be the email address. And we're going to check the empty inbox for this guy, right? So message will be right here. So let's go back and ask him the right question. Send an email to Moose, tell him, what up dog, this was sent by an AI agent. Boom, it was sent. Now let's go check. It's right here. We have our message exactly as intended. Right here, this is the message and the rest is template. And look at this subject, it just made up. So that's kind of nice. So let's go back. All right, so the next question would be, what is the financial status of Google? And it should be bad, and the lawsuit should be mentioned. Yes, lawsuit is here, and it is not so good. There's a setback, so we know it used the right kind. So now to check the memory, as you know, our conditional edge based on financial or finances, right? To go to the finance agent. But this time, we're going to ask, how about OpenAI status? We're not even going to mention that. Based on the memory, see if it goes to the right place. And if it did, it should be sound and improving. Financial sound and reportedly improving its financial standing. Perfect. Now let's ask it whether What's the London weather? Cold and wet, as mentioned in our tool. Perfect. And to test the memory, how about Paris? Should be sunny and perfectly sunny. And at this point, we have successfully tested our email agent, our financial agent, and weather agent side by side with memory. That said, we say bye, get out of it. All right, last but not least, let's check everything in our LangSmith portal. As mentioned before, ReAct agent experiments. Let's go there and pick this guy out. By now, we already know about our other tools, the weather, finance, etc. So let's go find out what happened with our email. Right here, it picked up the functional tools, read email CSV, send email, and then it went ahead and read up on our prompt template right here and created the necessary email, and then it just used the tools and finally send it to the right address and reported back to us saying email has been sent to such and such. With that, I conclude this short series where we successfully orchestrated a weather ReAct agent, a finance agent, and finally an email agent using LangGraph and tested with LangSmith. Thanks for watching.